Welcome back to the New Earth Transitionary Government Podcast. And this is Aurora on the second part of our business, 5D business and financial council. We covered in the first portion just what the roles and responsibility of the council is, some of the initial kind of decrees and guidelines that would be instituted, as well as mostly how we would transition the economy and the financial system into a 5D model. And this portion is going to be about how we transition business to a 5D model, specifically the transition of corporations to cooperations, as well as just how we do business differently, that is more aligned to being in service to the greater good, equal energy exchange, all of that. So this portion is basically some guidelines and some education and training that we would be using to transition corporations to a corporations to cooperation models. We are entering a new time, one in which the old systems and structures no longer work. We are evolving into a new way of living and working, and corporations are shifting to cooperations, which will be based on the following principles: right action, discipline, wellness, higher thought, passion, unity, co-creation, and communication. Right action. The principle of right action is based on the full awareness of what each being's role is, and in all moments, what is the best action to support the whole. The new way of operating must be based on every action supporting and serving the whole rather than the individual. The shift in operations requires that each employee shifts their perspective on their role. Their role is to support the entire unit, regardless of the individual preferences, wants, or needs. This shift in perspective allows the entire unit, business, and cooperation to function as a whole of moving parts rather than separate parts, right? Because what we have a lot of right now is when you when you have these large corporations, especially these conglomerates, they don't work in synergy. There's too much hierarchy. There's too many different branches, too many different teams, too many different sectors, too many different units, and none of them are actually working together. They're not on the same page. And so there's like this discordance often, and which is why we see so many corporations failing, not just financially, but just failing in the sense that the general masses and humanity no longer feels resonance with the purpose of the corporation. They no longer want to support them because there's discordant energy. It's not synergistic. It doesn't serve the greater good. And frankly, because employees are not treated like they should be. There has been a profit over people model, and the cooperation model is about people over profit. So when all employees are in right action, there are no dropped balls. So this is another important part of the process, right? There is a seamless flow to all projects, communications, and day-to-day tasks. Having a structure in which all employees, departments, etc., are aware of what all other employees and departments are focused on allows for accountability. When each employee, department, etc., is accountable and responsible for the goals and the tasks of the whole, it creates an environment of support and initiative. Right action will create checks and balances to keep everything in flow. And by the way, the employees includes everybody who works at that corporation. That includes the higher ups, who tend to take a very hands-off approach. And they are also employees, even though they forgot that was also their role. They are also responsible for every moving piece of the puzzle. And again, a lot of what is shared here is based on the idea that first and foremost, these corporations need to kind of transfer to the people first model. So this is already taking into account that employees are going to be treated well, that they are going to be valued, and that they are going to be given the proper energy exchange, the proper respect, the proper environment to do their job to the best of their ability. And of course, we want to have people enjoy what they're doing. So if you have a corporation where people genuinely do not enjoy their role and their job, then it is not going to work. So this is based on all of that already being into account. Now, the example here is all employees will be responsible not only for their own tasks, but the tasks of their entire department or team. All employees should be trained on all tasks and skills required for the department as a whole and not just their individual role. All departments should be aware of what projects and goals the other departments are working on. All employees should also be aware of all deadlines within the team, business, or cooperation. There should also be a list of daily tasks required to keep the operation running smoothly. All beings will be responsible for ensuring these tasks are met. The idea is we need to delete hierarchy where everybody is just serving a very individual role and there is no team dynamic. I know a lot of corporations do have quote unquote teams and they answer to like a team leader or something like that. But in general, there is not a lot of that team spirit within corporations. Again, it is very hierarchical and all employees should feel like it is a family. They should feel like everybody can assist with many different tasks, not just one singular task, because what happens then is all the pressure gets put on individual persons for specific things. And if they don't have, let's say, the right communication coming to them, right? They don't have a good manager. They don't have a good leader. They don't have good communication with, let's say, the other people who are working on similar things. They don't have the proper communication from other departments. This is how shit goes awry. And so everyone should be trained on everything that has to do with their specific project or their specific unit or whatever it is. So there has to be more of a teamwork dynamic. And just to be aware of what is going on, beyond the scope of just what the individual is working on, but what is the purpose of the project or what is the purpose of all of these different units? And so getting more in flow with that will create a lot more synergy into these cooperations. Now, the next principle is about discipline. So discipline is important across the board. This is just on an individual level, but especially in a business capacity. Discipline, consistency, and integrity are the key factors that make a grand employee and a grand business. In the changing paradigm, it is no longer about control, power over, or rigid structure. The key is to allow each being their unique flow while instilling the principles of discipline. The more self-discipline that each employee has, the more consistent they are and the greater amount of integrity they will hold. Our new normal may include working remotely or in untraditional settings, which means self-discipline is essential. Daily disciplines for each employee, team, and department will keep consistent communication and action moving energy forward. Every employee should incorporate a wellness discipline with their routine in order to ensure that they are taking care of themselves. So again, this is very important because the wellness of the individuals creates the wellness of the cooperation as a whole. And so that is the priority. So we have different recommendations, like every employee should have time during the day for things like meditation, journaling, movement, right? Whether that's walking, running, yoga, working out, anything like that. And employees are also encouraged to document everything, either electronically or on paper, of calls, meetings, notes, etc. We want full transparency. We want everything to be documented, everybody to be on the same page so that there's no miscommunications, no kind of backdoor, side deal things going on. Now, in terms of wellness, which is the next principle, the wellness of each employee is vital to keeping the whole running and function. Wellness includes physical wellness, emotional wellness, mental wellness, and spiritual wellness. Each aspect is vitally important for the overall well-being of the business or cooperation. Self-care is essential for each being as part of their daily routine. When we fail to take care of the self, we are unable to function and be in service at our grandest level. All businesses and companies must encourage wellness, healing, discipline, and right action as the foundation of their cooperation. The physical vessel processes energy and must be cared for. Physical wellness includes daily movement, honoring the vessel by listening to it, providing it with, of course, proper nutrition, food, any healing modalities that are, needed or wanted. Under the Dr. Emoto theory, all pure intention put into a substance, specifically water, changes the molecular structure of the substance to a more harmonious and high vibrational substance. This method has been shown to transform any substance into a pure frequency that is actually healing to the physical body. So by using simple techniques with food, drinks, and anything consumed, this will have positive effects on the functioning of the body. So we encourage all beings to be trained on blessing their food and water, and also making sure that they have time to eat meals, get outside in the sunlight, take walks, anything that's going to create that daily wellness for them. Grounding is a term used for connecting the body to nature for about 2 to 5 minutes at a time, as many times per day as you feel guided. Grounding is essential to keep focus while completing a task or project. Grounding keeps you centered, and this can be done by placing your feet on the earth for about 2 minutes at a time. And again, we would encourage lots of time and moments for all beings, no matter whether they work at a business or a corporation or a job, to have those moments. We are not designed to sit at a desk for 8 hours. It is not natural, it's not organic, and it doesn't work. So when we all transition into making every day a balance between creativity, work, play, and wellness, that's where everything thrives. So emotional wellness is also important because emotional wellness will include self-care practices, which allow each employee moment a day to process any emotions they are experiencing, including challenging events or daily stress. Processing means that they are allowing themselves to feel their emotions while working through them and then letting them go each day. When emotions go unprocessed, it causes stagnant energy inside the physical body, which leads to pain, illness, and disease. Daily discipline for each employee will include 15 minutes a day for journaling, writing notes, organizing ideas, and reflecting on experiences of the day. Each employee should also be encouraged to openly discuss their feelings with managers, supervisors, owners, or other employees. Fully transparent and open communication allows for resolution and solutions. Each employee must be encouraged to communicate if they require a break or rest, because the wellness of the employee is a priority. Now, of course, this is not something we have to keep everything in balance. So it's not to take advantage of this where we are taking too many breaks and kind of over abusing the rest aspect, and also not being in right action and having discipline, right? But the goal is that this should be a very seamless flow where we kind of allow everyone to be in a very organic cycle of life. There are going to be days you require rest. It's not the day that you're going to be very productive. There's also going to be days that you're on the ball, you're productive, you're communicating, things are moving forward. Now, as we kind of transition, it will become a lot easier where everyone starts to be on that same flow. Whereas right now, I think what we're trying to balance is that every individual is at a different level and a different pace, and people are going to be feeling those different flows at different times. So it's just about how do we create balance for each individual person as well as the business? How do we ensure that there is right action, there's discipline, we are working together as a team, we are creating amazing things, we are in service, but we're also caring for ourselves at the same time. And of course, there's going to be a trial and error process to this, right? But spiritual wellness is also important because spirituality is the connection to spirit or source energy. And each being must be in tune with their own energy in order to truly harness their full potential. Part of spiritual wellness will also include spiritual discipline, which is an essential practice. And this can include daily practices of gratitude, reflection, and inner connection. Each employee should incorporate one form of spiritual discipline into their daily routine, and this can vary for person to person based on what works for them. Some may enjoy meditation, some may enjoy things like mirror affirmations, journaling or automatic writing, daily gratitude lists, prayer, grounding, sun gazing, anything that works best for the individual. Now, the next principle is higher thought. Higher thought is a state of positivity that focuses on inspiration and growth and does not judge things as negative or positive. Each employee should be trained on higher thought. As higher thoughts create reality, it is a very powerful force for all employees to be focusing on the higher. Lower thought focuses on problems, while higher thought focuses on solutions. Lower thoughts can focus on just the very negative lens, while higher thought views everything as kind of an opportunity for growth, right? So the working environment should always include higher thought and encourage higher thought. Judgment and blame should not be present in the workplace, as it creates stress, competition, and lower thought. So some ideas are things like weekly co-creative meetings are a great way for higher thought to begin manifesting, as well as the visions of the cooperation as a whole. So the 5D cooperations will function off of vision, service to the greater good, and limitless possibilities. So you want to have a very creative, solution-based work environment rather than blame, judgment, competition, like who messed up, who did this, who did that, competition for promotions and raises and things like that. And we not focusing again so much on the negative of everything or what is being done incorrectly, but focus on what's being done right and work with that. And of course, the shift is from the goal is not about profit. It's about wellness. It's about wellness of the cooperation as a whole. It's about the wellness of the individuals. It's about, does everybody love what they do every day? Do we have a work environment that creates joy, that creates inspiration, that creates connection? Are we serving the greater good while we're passionate and having fun doing it? That is the goal. Passion, again, is the next principle. If you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. We have all been given particular gifts, and part of the fun is discovering those gifts and fostering them into reality. As our entire world develops and evolves into 5D, it will be of the utmost importance for each person to be passionate about what they do. Together, we are co-creating our realities, and so the idea of a work day needs to be fully reimagined and redefined through a much different perspective. Passion and purpose should be the fuel that motivates each individual to get up every day as they assist in adding value to the world around them. As we have now moved into the age of Aquarius, a very welcomed piece of that is living in the age of passion and purpose. because of our ability to now see full truth as well as the expansion of the collective consciousness. This means each one of us can embrace living in the now, appreciating each experience as it happens, and constantly reevaluating what our goals are, right? When we discover our purpose, we tap into an endless supply of energy to perform our roles in better ways. This means that each one of us can embrace living in the now, appreciating each experience as it happens, and feeling becomes an important part of realizing our full passion and purpose by identifying the fire that we have within and share it with the world. Creating meditation times and space in which each work environment can send positive messages to all members of the team, encouraging them to stay grounded and to go within for their own motivation, for their own inspiration. Discovering one's purpose at the workplace is associated with one's values and the unique talent and what they want to give to the world. Meaningful work in the form of purpose acts as a stimulant for improving self-worth as it develops the personal identity of the being. Performance in the form of involvement in meaningful activity results in growth and the actualization of one's potential. Unity and co-creation are the direct result of a purpose filled with a passionate worker and working environment. Purpose and performance will harmonize with one another, as purposeful engagement will stimulate our interpersonal relationships with, our colleagues, with our working family. So communication, sharing visions, and accountability becomes more of a focus rather than a strict, rigid management hierarchy. Shifting the focus to one of purposeful engagement will positively impact the environment. So dissolving the old belief systems of this is how things are done here will quickly bring the spark of any team full of passion and purpose. Unity is achieved with the feeling amongst the entire organization that each member feels truly valued and are focused on the collective goal. The results will speak volumes as to the success of this approach. Now, unity is the next principle. Unity is the state of being united as a whole. Organizations have in the past used team building activities as means to bring employees together and deepen relationships. But in the old business paradigm, these fosterings of relationships stemmed primarily from the need to increase employee output or productivity to ultimately gain more profit. This is the ego-based paradigm. The new business model will be based fundamentally on unity and what we call love in action. The planet was put on pause that separated people from each other through mandatory lockdowns. During that time, people had the opportunity to kind of reflect on their values and their paths and what aligns with them. Unity means harmony, balance, play and joy, the spreading of unconditional love, and to be in service to the greater good. Collectively, we are evolving beyond the limitations of the physical plane. So unity consciousness is our natural state. Love will now become the driving force behind the cooperation and the team members' motivations for working together to fulfill a common cause. It is paramount that the cooperation's vision remains pure and true to love in all moments. The focus will be on infusing love and grandness into the goods or services that are offered to customers. Unity will manifest in the team in various ways. For example, two members will come up with the same idea at the same time. Heart telepathy will also become much more commonplace as a means of communication. Whereas the old business model was based on monetary gain, the new business paradigm is based on the intrinsic evolution and growth of each individual and of the cooperation itself. Cooperations will begin to see the value in following universal laws and staying in right action. Leaders will start to lead by example, by walking their talk, and will gain respect by being authentic and being in integrity. Cooperations will allow teams to grow organically and will respect everyone's ideas. Decisions and choices will be made together in unity amongst the leaders and their teams. People will be motivated to explore their creativity and to apply this. The cooperation will naturally support its members by creating processes that encourage this unity. When we all work towards the greater good or some sort of collective goal, the energies of love will support these projects and will create synergy, abundance, and flow. Now, co-creation is the next principle. No longer will profit dictate the type of responsibilities and tasks that team members have to fulfill. Therefore, the concept of collaboration with others will evolve to a much more meaningful and heartfelt way of creating new products and services. Note that the word collaboration can be broken down to its suffix of co and the verb labor to mean essentially working hard on a project together, but not necessarily with the synergy or alchemy that occurs between people who are in the heart space. In the past, there has been much emphasis on project management. Projects will typically go through various stages from inception to budget, all the way out to mapping out processes and projections of the result or outcome. In the new business model, co-creation will occur in a place of collaboration, where projects will manifest between people in a much more organic way. Our evolution towards higher frequency brings about a complete awareness of our energy and how our energy affects the whole. We will let go of wanting to control situations to create certain outcomes, and instead we will gravitate towards deeper connections, and team members will naturally create ideas in unity and allow divine guidance to lead them to the next stage of the process, rather than trying to map out the stages in detail, which is preconceived. There will no longer be the need to have strict parameters as leaders come to the realization that it is a benefit in having more fluidity and flexibility in order for the creativity of the individuals to shine more naturally. Team members will be able to explore expansive avenues to be creative, work on co-creative projects or inventions or new ideas that have never been done before. These will often manifest within the collective consciousness where several beings might, have this idea at the same time. The most meaningful feedback in this new model of co-creation will come from synchronistic events, rather than leaders giving specific reviews on individual job performances. These divine confirmations will assure team members that the project is moving in the right direction. Surrendering to the present moment without pushing for a certain outcome allows the magic of co-creation to lead to true paths of innovation and unknown territory. Team members will no longer need motivation from external factors, but they will feel inner joy of the process. Now, communication is the next principle. It is a given that clear and open communication is essential for cooperations to thrive. People will learn how to work with energetics so that the dysfunction, such as non-communication or miscommunication, are eliminated within the team dynamics. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is a perfect resource to begin the transition towards divine communication. The first of the 4 agreements is to be impeccable with one's word. Team members need to speak with integrity and say what they mean and mean what they say. The second agreement is to not take things personally. The ego thrives in suffering and wants us to be attached to things, such as other people's opinions. In the old business model, communication was a hot topic because too much energy was being spent in projection. When someone is in fear or anger, they can easily lash out at you in their frustration. The key is to not take this personally. Letting go of all attachments regarding communication will allow more divine energies to flow through team members, which can then be focused on moving forward with visions and projects. The third agreement is do not make assumptions. Be courageous enough to ask questions if something needs to be clarified. When the team commits to fully expressing themselves, especially vulnerably, it leaves everything out in the open and there is no ambiguity. Lastly, the fourth agreement is always to do your best to communicate. If public speaking is something that makes someone uncomfortable, then they must make an effort to improve those skills. Everyone must commit to leaning into the resistances so that expansion can occur beyond everyone's comfort zones. Consistency is also key, and leaders must be the examples of this. Now, the 5D business paradigm will be drastically different from the 3D paradigm. We will see more entrepreneurs in the 5D space as well as self-governed businesses. The 5D paradigm is all about sovereignty, creative expression, and co-creation. We must come to a new understanding of what business is. The most important thing with any business is the intent and the energy of the business. Any business model must support creativity, growth, and abundance, not just profit. All of humanity have talents, skills, crafts, and passions that they will be bringing into fruition as part of their role in New Earth. Those who have successfully created 5D businesses will serve as guides and mentors for those seeking to do the same. So this is how it also might shift for entrepreneurship in 5D. The model will be to have 5D business guides and mentors, which is very important because as we transition, we have to be able to educate and teach those who are able to do this successfully so that others can do the same. Building the business energetically before physically launching the business. This is very important. That's going to be a whole nother type of training because everything starts on an energy level before it comes into fruition. But oftentimes in the 3D, we create from the physical first rather than from the energy first. And this is why many businesses fail. This is why many businesses lose sight of their original purpose. This is why they become profit-driven over intent-driven. This is also why many businesses expand too quickly. They do not have the energetic capacity for that type of growth. So we want to teach building businesses energetically first. Also encouraging a daily practice to be a vibrational match to your business. That is the most important thing. Building a concept vision of the business, then fully launching it, and then being able to keep your business in integrity. So in terms of 5D business guides and mentors, the business guides will be volunteers to be energetic partners with the aspiring entrepreneur. They will both have experience and understand energy, intent, and vibration. They will help guide the entrepreneur step by step, holding space for their creative process and only providing guidance when needed. They can help the entrepreneur step into their divine intention for the business and then to become a vibrational match to that intent. The role of the business guide is not to give advice. The role is to consciously listen to the entrepreneur as well as to their own inner guidance and allow them to ask questions. The goal is to have the entrepreneur discover the answers from within. The 5D business mentors will simply assist the entrepreneur with the actual mechanics of launching a business, but they do not control the process of it. Business mentors will have prior business experience and will understand what is needed in 5D to bring this business to life. At some point in the future, business guides and mentors may not be required at all, but could be requested. Now, building the energetic foundations first. These are some of the guidelines for how to build a 5D business. In 5D, we want to encourage the aspiring business owner to create the business on paper, video, audio, electronically, etc., before physically creating it. The energetic building of a business is far more important than the physical aspect, as this is your true foundation. The best way to begin is by first writing down the intent of your business. The intent should always be as a service to humanity, to heal, to bring joy, or to bring growth, expansion, education, teaching, something along those lines. The business owner can then create a business map. These are the steps needed to bring this to life. Next is becoming a vibrational match to your vision. So we would encourage business owners to organize the vision for their business in such a way that they are aligned with the big vision of their business. So aligning your frequency with that of abundance, joy, service, creativity, etc. If there are any fears, self-limitations, belief systems, doubt, or programmings, these will need to be worked through first. Dissolving all ego frequencies is essential before beginning the business, or else the ego can basically hijack the process. The future business owner should also be alerted to synchronicities that will most likely be happening. They can be aware and looking for the inner guidance and wisdom, and to record anything that comes to them during the creative process. If at any time they start to doubt or feel anything other than alignment with the vision, it will be key to meet with the guide to help work through these emotions. This will help the entrepreneur to develop and strengthen their own intuition and guidance system. Next would be building the concept vision of the business. So once the business can be fully visualized and the entrepreneur is a vibrational match to this vision, the next step would be to launch a concept vision to gain feedback and understand what they don't know about running a business or issues that could be related to their product or service. For example, a person may want to open a business where they sell organic cold-pressed drinks. Before opening a storefront and investing in equipment and furnishings, the entrepreneur might want to first test this idea at a farmer's market. They can experiment with different combinations, alchemies, flavors, and determine which are most preferred. They will gain experience in who are the best providers of ingredients, where to get supplies, as the biggest asset to the new business owner is experience. You always want to begin with what you have first. Do not rush into thinking you have to invest or have large amounts of money or equipment or staff. Wisdom can only be gained through experience and perceived failures, which are really just the lessons and blessings. Start with what you know and what you have to work with. Begin by focusing fully on the creative development process, and then share it with others. Money is never the focus, and the focus is to give and be in service, and this will provide you with the greatest feedback and also connections. The entrepreneur can continue to meet with guides and mentors, sharing ideas and continuing to adjust, expand, and grow through the developmental phase. Now, fully launching the business, in many cases, will just be a natural progression from the concept phase. Many things will be learned during the concept phase, and people, ideas, and resources will organically align. It will be key for the entrepreneur to maintain their vibration and intention and not get too caught up in the day-to-day opportunities and challenge of the business. New or additional advisors and mentors may be needed as the business evolves. The key during this phase is to leap in full faith and trust, but to stay aligned with the intent, not focusing on the external view of success. And then finally is staying in integrity. If we stay aligned to the original intent and passion of the business, you will always be successful. The issue with 3D businesses is the over-focus on profit and over-expansion. When 3D businesses are focused only on the external, it causes the integrity of the business to drop, and it can expand too quickly, which will become unsustainable and out of alignment. This inevitably leads to taking energy rather than giving energy. So your greatest tool as a business owner is to keep your focus on your self-development and your own evolution, to always continue to expand your craft and being willing to change and try new things, and to always focus on the soul fulfillment of what you're doing rather than the ego fulfillment. So that is the portion on the transition of 5D businesses and corporations to cooperation. So I love you guys, and I'll be back with the next council.